Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. I'm Katie Allred.
And I'm Jahng.
We want to help you become a better church communicator.
And this is the place we're going to talk about strategies and best practices for your church.
Let's get started.
Hey friends, it's Ken and Jahng and Katie Allred here at the Church Communications headquarters. Our headquarters is on the interwebs, people, on the internet.
Yeah, Kenny and I have only met 6 times.
Is that all?
I think so. I'm counting now.
I feel like I've seen you too much sometimes. No, I'm just kidding.
I've seen you 3 times this year, Kenny. What the heck?
We have been fortunate enough to have a distance-based relationship using
the internet,
video and chat and social media. Last couple of months, we've been able to go to conferences together. It's been fun doing the online thing, coming offline. And then while we are at conferences and events, we are meeting other church communications family members here in our ecosystem, in our community. That has been extra special for me.
Yeah. So did it kind of blow your mind the first time it happened?
Well, it's just funny. It's how people sometimes even they'll creep up on you because they feel
they feel weird
or intimidated. And I'm like, why intimidated? I'm the one who should be intimidated. You guys are doing rock star stuff across the country in your own churches. And I love learning from people. And so if you're out there and you see one of us, please come and say hello. There was one person who said they saw us but didn't say hello. And I'm like, that's a crime.
Yeah, that's so sad. I feel like I missed out because you didn't say hello to me. So now I'm like, I'm always bummed. It's so funny. So so what it is, so when people like come to know somebody online and they don't have like an actual personal connection with them, but they feel like they've heard from them, right? You're listening to my voice, you've seen me on video. When they have that kind of connection, it's called a parasocial relationship.
Yes.
So a parasocial relationship is basically this relationship that we have with our viewers who think that they know us personally, which hopefully I feel like you do. I feel fine with that information. I just want you to know now, though, that I am taller in person than I am online. Apparently, I am a short woman on the internet, but I'm actually 6 foot tall. So people are always so surprised when they meet me in person. They're like, whoa, you're taller than I was expecting. I was like, what were you expecting me to be, like 4'9"? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I give off a short demeanor.
It's as if we've got life-size cutouts of you in stores across the country, and the cutout is 4 foot, 5 foot.
Right. I was expecting you. Whoa, you're tall. I'm like, every time, I'm like, what were you expecting me to be super short? I don't know. They're like, then they feel ashamed. I'm like, I don't feel like ashamed.
Well, I'll call out my buddy, our Canadian buddy, right? Neighbor to the north recently at SALT conference. Owen Scott was sitting there in the restaurant. We had a meetup for breakfast one day, and it was a little bit one of those, like, we caught each other's eye, but he didn't say hello. He was just watching me talk with somebody else that I met for the first time too there. And didn't realize until we went to the table that was Owen. Now, again, I'm going to push back because Owen's profile pic does not reflect his current look, right? Beard versus no beard.
Right.
How am I supposed to know? Why didn't you say hello?
I also feel like his hair got redder somehow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. But it was all good because we called, we actually approached him and said, hey, are you here for the church communications meetup? Absolutely. But it was just one of those things where that little bit of hesitation. I hope some people say I might be big and loud, but some other people said I'm huggable. So I hope I'm not scary. If you see one of us out in the wild, just please come say hello.
Also, good to know is that when we are at a conference, if we're speaking or we're sponsoring or whatever, we're probably going to have a meetup at some point, and like we would love to just hang out and meet you.
Yes.
So like, why don't you just like send us a DM or a PM or whatever, send us a message and just say, hey, I'd love to hang out. Like, what are y'all doing? Because more than likely we're having breakfast or something, and
Absolutely.
you can come and hang out with us and just like chat, and we can talk about your church's problems, your problems. We can talk about whatever you want us to talk about, completely for free. So, I mean, what an opportunity, right? Because we want to learn so much more from you about what's going on in your church, and be a part of that. I think it's just really, really fun. So we would love to just hang out with you. So
Absolutely. Um, well, let's get to today's show. We are talking about video. As I've been saying, I've been saying for the last couple of years, Katie.
forever.
Video is the new black.
Yeah.
And if you're not recording your sermons,
What are
we
you
need to
doing?
talk.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the church as an organization is a very unique one in almost every single zip code.
Right.
In that you are a 7-day production machine. Every 7
Right.
days, you're producing stellar content. And if you're not capture, recording, and sharing it, it's just going off into the ether.
Yep.
And so first of all, we need to make sure that you're capturing your videos on audio, if not
Mm-hmm.
video. And then the question is, what do you do with it, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, Katie, right? How to make your
Yeah.
sermon videos work for you in growing your
Mm-hmm.
web traffic and also new visitors, right?
Right. So in an earlier podcast, we talked about how you should be putting some kind of call to action to watch a sermon on your homepage. And, are people getting lost trying to find your sermons on your website? Is it very obvious in your menu where your sermons are, or are they hidden underneath media or something like that? Just need to make sure that it's super clear where people can listen to messages, sermons, whatever you call them. Also, make sure you're calling them something that makes sense. Don't call them something fruity or fun. We really got to be super clear about what it is. Sermons, I think, is a great one. If you have other media, though, and you're like, we've got a blog and whatever, I get it. You may want to put it underneath that. But it just needs to be clear about where it is and have some call to action to it at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, it is something that is intuitive, but sometimes you're
Mm-hmm.
too close to it to think about it. So it's something that you should set some time upon, put it
Right.
on your calendar, and really make sure that you're paying attention to labeling and using the right keywords. And just, sermon videos is a treasure chest of content that you have that many other organizations on the web do not.
Okay. Every week, churches create dynamic and relevant content through their sermons. Your church's sermons offer answers to some of the biggest topics people search for online every single day. If used correctly, a sermon video has the ability to reach thousands of people online that are searching for answers that your sermon is offering.
Now, if you need help, our friends at Missional Marketing can help your church create a sermon video library to share your sermons online through what it's like a Netflix-like experience, basically. So find out if a sermon video library would be a good fit for your church by just going to this website, missionalmarketing.com/sermons. That's missionalmarketing.com/sermons. So here's one question, and I think it's in the future, and I've seen some beta stuff of Google doing fun stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen some churches where they just literally post a video file on their website,
And that's it.
and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's what needs to change. That's what I was about to bring up. Like, Google cannot really read video. It will in the future, I think, but at the moment, it needs some words so
Yes.
that it can differentiate what this content is about. And so you're just hurting yourself if you're not doing this. And so the first thing the really easy thing, the easy low-hanging fruit that you can grab is to just set up keywords, categories, and tags for your sermons.
Yes.
And so, what scripture is this from is super easy. You should be able to filter in your sermon library, like Roman stuff, messages from the book of Romans, right? You should be able to filter it down to topics as well, right? Like gossip, or I'm dealing with addiction, or I'm dealing with, something. And so it needs some topical tags, categories as well. And
Felt needs
then
is perfect, right? Felt needs is something you should use as tags.
Right, 100%, because people are searching for that. So you need to make that into categories. You need to put scripture references as well. And then, any other kind of tags that you can think of that can help set this sermon apart from others, I think is really important because each piece of sermon is like an evergreen kind of thing. I mean, sometimes they are very relevant to the what's going on right now, but almost always they're an evergreen piece of content. So how can we use that so that we can benefit our website? Also, something I think that churches aren't doing is getting a transcript. You want to talk about transcripts, Kenny?
Yeah, I love transcripts, and the fact that technology has basically democratized access to it. So transcripts, right, is the
Hmm.
word for word, you know, tra- writing out of the what people are saying, the narration. It used to be that people used to have transcription machines. I don't know if you've ever seen a transcription machine with pedals
Hmm.
before, where the transcriptionist can speed up or slow down the audio file or go backward and forward to
Oh no,
catch
I've never seen that.
words.
That's pretty wild.
It's like an organ, basically.
Oh wow.
But nowadays, we've got technology to aid us, and there's actually a couple different services out there that I think that we would typically um, suggest for people to go to. Um,
Yeah.
and the cost is really low. You're talking about services as low as, I think, well, there's free versions out there too, but as low as 10 cents a minute
Hmm.
to high quality human based transcription to $1 a minute. And
Hmm.
so if you've got a 20-minute sermon every week or 30-minute sermon every week,
It's
you're
$20.
not talking a lot of budget.
Right. But I think you're going to see a lot of value for the money you spend
Oh,
because you
absolutely.
can use the transcript. Not, okay, so I think you should be putting the transcript in the sermon notes on that page because of the SEO value that it brings, right? Your pastor is going to use certain phrases, he's going to say certain things that will help you increase your SEO ranking, your reach, right?
Right.
But you can get a transcript so easily today. He was just saying, there's a lot of services we recommend. One of those is Rev. You can go to churchcommunications.com/Rev and actually get a $10 off coupon that they gave us. And so you can just try it yourself. So easy, so cheap. Just go on there and get this sermon. And so it's REV. So churchcommunications.com/REV Rev. So easy. And what I love about getting the transcript too is that you can use it to create evergreen social media content too. So, I mean, I know that this is more about your website and SEO, but what I love is that when I was working at church, I was social media director or whatever. I could go through the sermon transcript and highlight portions of this sermon and decide, hey, this was a great point. This was a great point. This was a great point. Let's cut those clips and then put out the clips into the internet. And so it just makes your job so much easier. So you can create social media graphics from it because it's easier than you can get the exact thing that your pastor said. You can eventually turn that content into a book. There's so much more that you can do with it. So getting a transcript is just like the low hanging fruit of turning your sermon video into so much more for your church.
Yeah, I love that. Transcriptions are so powerful. Um, Here's a question. Um, some people say you should put the transcription in your descriptions field of YouTube when you
Hmm.
upload your sermon video. Yay
Hmm.
or nay for you?
I feel like that would be a lot. I feel like at first you should definitely put more like call to action there and then put it under the see more kind of link. I think that's good because YouTube is the number two search engine. And
Yes,
so I don't think that's a bad idea. But more importantly, I think you should use that transcript to add captions.
absolutely. However, I'll tell you this. If you, and this is, I guess you could use the captioning, you could use for captions for sure.
Hmm.
But if you put the transcript there with the timestamps,
Yeah.
those timestamps become hyperlinks in YouTube and it
Mm,
jumps to that section of the video. Did you know that?
okay. No, I didn't know that.
So that's the latest thing I've been testing out. It's not, again, I think my first gut reaction to you is that, hey, that's a little bit overload for descriptions, but it
Right.
might be the opening section of your sermon. It might be key portions of your sermon that you put in the descriptions, and you keep some of the timestamps in there so that people can
All
navigate
right.
through the video pretty quickly. That's pretty cool. Now, getting it up on YouTube is great. I personally think you always want to use your home base, your owned media. We say there's two. I always say there's two different ways to do things. You want to teach and preach. Teaching is your home base. You're in your own four walls. Preaching is going out to new audiences. I look at posting on YouTube as preaching activity. Teaching is putting it on your website. Can we talk about that? Where should it be on your website? I mean, as intuitive as it might sound, not everyone has the same opinion or comes up with the same answer.
Okay, so you mean like where should it be on your website, in the menu, or where should
Just
it
the
be
section,
like?
like for some people some people are putting their sermons on their blog just
Gotcha.
chronologically, and it's scattered all over, right?
Okay.
I
Yeah, yeah,
personally
yeah.
think there's another place that you should put it. I don't know about you.
Right. Yeah, a sermon video library. So just creating a library of those assets. Missional Marketing has a great tool that helps you create a sermon video library. There's tons of ways that you can do it. I know there's plugins for WordPress and stuff. They've created a really handy tool that you can use just to organize the content weekly. And also to organize it by felt needs as well, which I think is really important. You can go to missionalmarketing.com/sermons to see their tool. They've actually given you some examples and shown you a little bit more about how it works. But I think it's just a really easy way. Just making it a library though, instead of just like kind of posting it in a blog feed, I think helps significantly. Or just posting it on SoundCloud. There's a lot of churches that do that. And honestly, I think you need a little more oomph to it. If you're doing it on SoundCloud, that's fine, but then you're missing the SEO to your
Yeah,
website.
absolutely. We want to be able to use SEO. We want to be able to use it also
Yeah.
as a device to get people back to our site, especially if you're using ads, right, to drive traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can share just maybe, and we talked about AdWords extensively on our
Yeah.
previous episode, but why don't you just share a little bit, how can sermon videos really work in conjunction with Google Ads?
Sure. Yeah. So you can use your sermons. You can cut clips from them now that you have transcripts. You can actually okay, this is a good hot tip. All right. So what I did with our transcripts and was so smart. Please do this. Upload them all to Google Drive. Because once you upload them to Google Drive, you can search for phrases across all of your transcripts. So this was like, I thought it was the ultimate hack that I did. So I uploaded every single transcript from Brentwood Baptist, and I was able to search for key phrases that our newer pastor would say or talk about. And so I was like, oh, I remember he did a sermon about Oreos. I'm going to look for the word Oreos, and I'd be able to find every single time he mentioned Oreos.
Wow.
And so it was great because then I could go back and like, okay, I've got 20 different sermons where he mentions this specific topic. All right, I'm going to go back and cut clips from all of them, and I'm going to make a big collage montage video of him talking about this thing over and over and over again, or just pull together the phrasing for my website or pull together phrasing for my landing page. And so we can use the sermon videos on our Google ads just by pulling together really relevant content for those Google ads right from our sermon library. So you can just go on and create these, videos that are super specific to those felt needs.
Wow, that's a powerful hack. I never even thought of that, but you know what? There's even more. There's so much more you can do with that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So great. So we've talked about sermon videos. I think, like, honestly, this is one of those things where it needs to be put into a library section of your site. It's probably your number 1, 2, 3 thing that you want people to get to outside of, say, your plan your visit type of material, because you want people to give people a taste of what you offer. And this is what we call in my signature framework is the paparazzi principle. You want to leave no stone unturned. People want to visit your church. You don't want them to be surprised by the style of preaching or the the type of person, that's leading worship or
Mm-hmm.
the children's ministry area, etc. This is just one of those things that helps reduce the risk for someone to come and make a decision to visit your church for the first time.
Right. So I think the most important thing we can do now is to tell people where they can find this at. So if you want more information about how you can do your own sermon library, where would I go?
So again, one of the partners that we've had this season, they've been fantastic. It's the folks over at Missional Marketing. They're a shop that really helps a lot of churches out there, ministries, very open-handed. They've helped come up with this resource. If you go to missionalmarketing.com//sermons, plural, you'll see a resource there that I think that you'll find pretty instructional. Basically, it's a evaluation. You'll find out if building a sermon video library is right for your church. And so, again, this is something, that evaluation is something that is being offered for free to our community here at Church Communications.
I think so too. So what's next for the Church Communications podcast?
Well, we've been talking about some of the friends that we've made over at Missional Marketing. I thought, I'm hoping it works out. I've invited Jason Hammock from that team over to come and talk about, like you talk about what's next,
right.
How basically, digital marketing consultants, experts, et cetera, determine what your church needs to do next, right? And I want to ask him that question because I think it's really interesting to see, especially with church attendance shrinking. Like, what do you do? Is that an indication that people are less interested in spiritual things online? I don't think so. But then what do you do with that, right? Like, and we talked about the 3 different audiences of church, and that last audience being the ones that are not church aware, or it's not in their orbit right now. How do we get to those people? Like, what's working for the clients that they're working with? I love hearing those types of actual, like, live examples. Again, it's a call out. I've actually said his name. If he doesn't show up, it's on him. But Jason, if you are around, I'd love to sit down and just poke your brain a little bit so that we can have a little bit more information for the people here on the podcast. And then the standard question to Katie that I think is getting a little bit of a bad rap, but it's like, there are millennials out there. How are we going to reach them? Even though
I'm a millennial. It's so funny because they're like, how are we going to reach the millennials? I'm like, I don't know. I'm one. We're old now. I own a house. Like, I'm not, a young child anymore.
People still think millennials are just anyone under 30 at work you don't like.
Right. And I'm like, I am 30, so I'm not under 30 anymore, guys. I'm an adult.
So but it is an important question for not just millennials but Gen Z. The whole point is this next generation's multiple. There's obviously a culture shift.
So we're leaving the church, right?
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully we're going to get that on the books as the next episode, and I think the conversation is going to be rich and fun and pretty fast. And so I just want to do a shout out as we close out this, getting close to the end of the season, Katie, that it's been fun. We've gotten some feedback from our people out there listening. We need more, right? We need to hear more because we're trying to figure out what we're going to do for the next series of topics that we're going to tackle. I don't know about you, but it's not about trends of beards and plunging V-neck lines on worship pastors. What should we be talking about next, Katie?
We need to know. Somebody leave us some comments, find us, and tweet us, and tell us, hey, I'd love to learn more about this because the next podcast season will be coming up shortly. So we'll find out what everybody wants to learn about.
Yes. So this is an explicit call to action. Be selfish. Let us know what you want to talk about. I know that there's some type A personalities out there. We don't mind you sending us a Google Doc with outlines or lists of things that
I would gladly take an outline,
that you
please.
Hear from. I'm just putting it out there. This is your chance to actually influence, impact, and
Let's
Who
do
do you
it.
want to hear from? Let's bring some people on the podcast.
Yeah, we're not about bringing some guests in. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Katie, for rocking it today with sermon videos. Hopefully we'll get Jason. If not, we'll just come back, hop on for another episode this next week. But Katie, can you remind everybody where in the world should they be connecting with us outside of this podcast?
churchcommunications.com, of course. Also, you can find us on Instagram and on Twitter. So if you're like, ooh, I'd like to follow these people even more, go and find us. Also, so Church Comms has its own, I think it's the Church Comms on Twitter, or you can go to churchcommunications.com/Twitter. You can go to churchcommunications.com/Instagram to find us, a little easier. And then too, if you're like, I would like to follow these individuals, you can follow me on all platforms, Katie J. Allred, and then you can follow Kenny Jahng with, what's yours?
My namesake. I'm available everywhere. Kenny Jahng. I'll do this call. I'll be selfish. I am vlogging daily.
Yeah.
With the hashtag DailyKJTV, and I'm doing it on LinkedIn natively. I'm trying to own that platform these days.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that if you want to hop over to LinkedIn and search for the hashtag DailyKJTV, you'll check out some of my content there. And then before we go, this is the one last thing, because I got my own gear recently. Do I have it here? I don't have it here. I've got some gear. I ordered multiple things from our store on our website. Most people don't know. The last conference I went to with one of the shirts, and everyone's like, where did you get that shirt? Katie, what's the most popular items in our store right now?
Probably the church communication shirt that says it was in the bulletin, it's been in there for 2 weeks or whatever. Like, hold on, I'm gonna have to remember what the exact phrasing is.
I love my shirt. The shirt that I got is create, post, repeat.
Yeah, that's an original. So that one's been in the store for a while. So it's okay. So it's in the bulletin, been in there for weeks.
That's a fun shirt. I think I'm going to need to actually order that one now.
Yeah, we also have one. Yes, we have a communication strategy. It's called planning ahead. We like to be a little salty in our store.
And that goes along with the stickers. Do we have any stickers left?
We have some left in my backpack at the moment.
Well, how about this? Let's find some people to comment on these show notes, wherever you're seeing this, and tag Katie or myself. And there it is. Show them the sticker. It's the I'll Pray About It sticker.
If you're watching this, you can see it's I'll Pray About It.
We created these fun stickers called I'll Pray About It. If you want one of those in the mail, comment below, tag one of us. If we get enough requests, we'll just do another run and send some out to people.
Okay, sounds good.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be here next week on the Church Communications Podcast. I'm Kenny Jahng and Katie Allred, and wishing you the best. We need a tagline to get out of here. We need one of those.
Become a better communicator. See you next week.
Be a better communicator. See you next week. Your church's weekly sermons have the power to reach thousands searching online for the exact answers your sermons offer. Did you know that? Find out if Missional Marketing's sermon video library is right for your church. Go to this website, missionalmarketing.com/sermons. That's right, missionalmarketing.com/sermons.